Whilst the Signals update has only just released for Space Engineers, Keen Software House, the developers of the game, were very, one could say, keen to talk about the next update after that. Over the past year or so, the developers have been teasing a combo of updates that focus on survival, exploration, encounters, and the PvE experience. So, let's take a look at everything that has been shown to us so far. The next update has been teased as a survival, exploration, encounters, and PvE update at lots of separate points, so it's hard to say whether all this refers to one update or several updates that we'll be receiving in the future. The developers have said that every single update from Warfare 2 onwards has been building to this next update. So, now that we have buildable AI ships, lots of fancy new weapons, and the ability for grids to communicate in text chat, it's probably pretty safe to say what's coming next. Marek Grosser, the CEO of Keen Software House, writes a blog post about each update for Space Engineers when it comes out. At the bottom of the post about the Signals update, he wrote this: "What's next? We have so much more to explore. In the next update, 1.205, we're going to go big. New resources, new endgame blocks. We take a deep dive into PvE encounters, and we begin exploring exploration." Below this post, there is an image of a mysterious new block that we'll be looking at in a minute. This isn't the only tease we've got about this future update, as Keen Software House's newsletter also contained this teaser here. And additionally, there have also been a couple of teasers on their live streams as well. We'll use Marek's teaser to guide us between these other teasers, as there's a lot of overlap between them, and we'll start with... The word new resources has always been a scary idea for me. Adding too many resources to the game could, in my opinion, make the game overly complicated, especially for new players, and it could potentially have the effect of making progressing through the game more of a chore than it was fun. However, it seems from the teasers this won't be the case. On the newsletter teaser, it says this: "We found a mysterious message in a datapad. What is a Prototech panel? A new block? What is going on? And who is redacted?" And there is also this screenshot below of information being looked at on a datapad in game. It says, "On Tuesday morning at 7:12 UTC, we received a distress call from a nearby asteroid, part of a cluster colloquially referred to as the Pebbles. As I was unable to spot anything from deck, I ordered a ground crew to approach via jetpack. The crew, upon reaching an unarmed asteroid, reported visuals on 2 Prototech panels, as well as a fully operational item redacted. Further information revealed no leads to pursue. There were no signs of a shipwreck, no hint to who relayed the distress call, and perhaps most distressingly, no presence of name redacted at all. This unfortunately only raises more questions." During the Space Engineers developer livestreams, the developers mentioned that this new update will focus on something called Prototech. But what is Prototech? Proto means original or primitive, or first or earliest. So this likely means that this Prototech is technology that belonged to whoever was in the Space Engineers star system before we were. Let's not forget that the main planet in Space Engineers is referred to as the Earth-like planet. And last I checked, Pertam and the alien planets do not exist in our solar system, so the solar system we explore in Space Engineers is not our own. Mars is there, but just don't worry about it. Fans of Mass Effect will know of the Protheans, an ancient race that built technology so advanced that thousands of years later, all of the races of the galaxy now use that technology as the basis for their own. Stargate also does this. I'm sure you've seen that the Egyptians were actually secret aliens, and the current season of Star Trek Discovery is also exploring this idea. Many different sci-fi properties have featured this idea in the past, and I assume this is what Space Engineers will be doing in its next update. An ancient race once lived in this solar system, and now we, the Space Engineers, are discovering their technology and using it for ourselves. An ancient race once lived in this solar system. Where have I heard that before? The datapad in the newsletter teaser refers to Prototech panels. I assume these are one of two things. Either they're a new resource allowing the construction of more advanced blocks, or they are panels that show blueprints for these advanced new blocks. Advanced new blocks, you say? What makes you say that? Well, for starters, if you remember the quote on the datapad, as well as a fully operational item redacted, seems pretty telling to me. And we also have 2 pieces of concept art showing some of these advanced new blocks. Let's take a look at them, shall we? In the top right of this concept art, we can see 2 words blurred out. If we use what we've learned so far, the first word here is definitely Prototech. You can see that all of the letters here match up. The second also seems quite obvious as well, considering the design of the block. It's definitely some kind of assembler, and would you look at it, that word fits perfectly with the second word here. So that makes this the Prototech assembler. Presumably, this is some sort of advanced assembler constructed using ancient technology. How the assembler will be different from the one we currently have is probably the most interesting thing though. Will it be faster? Will it be more efficient? Or will it be able to create new components that we haven't seen before? I feel like the last one is unlikely, as that means all of these new Prototech blocks would be gated behind gaining access to this one, but we'll have to wait and see. The second concept art shows what is definitely a thruster. If we zoom in on this blurred text, this first word is 100% Prototech. And if we look at the rest of the words, I'm pretty confident in saying that these words are Large Ion Thruster Concept C. I don't think this means we're getting 3 different Prototech large ion thrusters, as if we go back to the assembler, you can see that they have different design ideas for this assembler on the right, so I'm assuming that Concept C is one of many designs they've come up with this thruster. One of my concerns with Space Engineers adding more advanced blocks is that they would just be better than the ones that are currently in the game. Currently there are 3 different types of thrusters in the game, and each of them serve their own niche. When you're building your ships, you have to think about what kind of purpose they serve. If a ship is only in space, you only need ion thrusters. If a ship is only on a planet, you only need atmospheric thrusters. And if you want a ship to fly in between, you not only have to build hydrogen thrusters, you have to also make sure that you have enough hydrogen to make the trip there and back. Adding more thrusters to the game, that is just the ion thruster but twice as good, is not only super boring, it also takes away that problem solving and decision making aspect of Space Engineers, instead making it all about which thruster has the bigger numbers. It's like with the weapons in the game, all of the weapons in the game have their own unique use, except for rockets, they suck. But no weapon is definitively the best weapon, and I think that should be the same for thrusters. Luckily, it looks like this new block, the Prototech Large Ion Thruster, does not fall into that problem, because quite simply, it's huge. Just look at the scale of this thruster compared to that little guy down there. It's at least twice the height and width of the current Large Ion Thruster, and it's much, much longer. Players of Space Engineers have spent years asking for larger thrusters to move their massive ships, and it seems like Keen are finally delivering on that. I won't lie, I'm very excited for these, especially as they give me a kind of Star Trek nacelle vibe. Just me? Obviously the trade-off for these is that they are absolutely massive, but it'll be interesting to see what other requirements they have to be built. Or maybe you can't build them at all. If you go back to our teaser, fully operational item redacted seems to suggest to me that a fully complete Prototech block is available to be found at the location described. Maybe you cannot build the Prototech blocks and instead have to find them out in the solar system and merge them onto your ships. If that is the case, I'd personally be very on board with that idea, as it would not only improve the rarity of these items, but also it completely circumvents my concerns from before about them being straight up replacements for normal thrusters. During the announcement livestream for the Signals update, the developers said 2024 is the year of PVE and Space Engineers, and that the next update will be about space and planetary encounters. These are the things that Space Engineers has needed for the longest time, because quite simply, what is the point of building a ship if there isn't a reason to use them? If you start on a planet, you basically build a ship and fly to space, and you're done. There isn't really anything to do after that. Exploration gives players a reason to keep playing the game, past their initial building of a spaceship, and PvE will add extra spice along your journey to your goals. If we go back to our datapad from before, this gives us the best look at what PvP and exploration will entail. It looks like this player has found a base or ship abandoned out in space and then recovered this datapad from this body. Presumably, the player now needs to find the Pebbles asteroid cluster and locate these Prototech panels, as well as the fully operational item redacted. Presumably, the Pebbles cluster will generate into your world, and you'll be given a GPS coordinates on how to get there. Additionally, no presence of name redacted at all at first seems to indicate the person who sent the distress signal wasn't at the location of the Prototech blocks, but maybe it means something else. Why would this name be censored? Maybe it refers to the proto-civilization? But if they're gone, why would they be expecting them to be there? Maybe it refers to someone else? Perhaps a Thanos type character who collects Prototech, who hunts us through space as we collect Prototech panels and becomes some sort of final boss of Space Engineers? Or maybe it's someone more benevolent, who guides us on our journey, helping us find Prototech to discover the mysteries of the proto-civilization. Only time will tell. All of this talk about the proto-civilization reminds me of the monolith and the stereolith. Mysterious objects in Space Engineers, that's mysteries, have always eluded us. Until now. And by now, I mean my next video, where I will reveal to you the truth behind Space Engineers' greatest mystery. So, like this video if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel to keep up to date with the future of Space Engineers and to see the greatest mystery of the game revealed. A special thanks to the Whisk Man, Hamish Drowner, the Wildcat, Tarantula Fudge, and Summit. If you'd like to support this channel, you can become a YouTube member or a patron with the links below this video.